What's up, guys? Back in me here we got The Fosters, Season 1, Episode 6, Saturday. Okay, so this episode starts off with Mariana, with Jesus waking up about and Mariana's they're all waking up early, and he's like he wants to go to this church Bible camp, and Mariana's like, when do you become religious? And Mariana, he's just like, when do you become a hipster? And still firing shots at each other. So they're having the Rivera's over. They're having Lexi's parents over to discuss about her and his relationship. And Mariana kind of makes this remark saying, "Hey, you never played Lexi's parents over when they were friends." So then we get to see Wyatt's actual house, because Fred mentioned they went to Wyatt's house last episode, which was actually his house, and had Brandon pick them up because this Callie almost got arrested, and Brandon was and yeah, they actually went to a weird house that Wyatt said was his beach house, was actually his beach house, and Wyatt said, and then Brandon came and picked them up, and then Callie and Brandon got into a little fight because Brandon was like, he got on a date with Wyatt, caught her on a date with Wyatt, and she's like, why do you hate Wyatt so much? And he was like, and Brandon was like, the last episode, it's not even about Wyatt. And he's like, I don't want you dating Wyatt because I don't want you dating anyone. She's like, this can't happen. He's like, what? And she's like, this conversation get her and you kicked out of the house. And he's like, that will never happen. And Callie's like, you don't know that. And then she started talking about how she was in a very good foster home, and how she was in a very good foster home, and they had a son, and they started hanging out. But when the parents found out, he made up some crazy story about how she was coming on to him, and they had her and she was in LA, and she was like, Brandon, it can happen, cause it already did. And yeah, just saying. Forgot to mention that last episode. So anyway, they go to Wyatt's house, and Wyatt's very sad that it's foreclosing on his house, and Wyatt's like, what are we, Callie? Wait, sorry. She's like, what are we, Callie? She's like, what? And she's like, because, they kissed at the end of last episode. Because, so Callie could prove Brandon wrong. And so Callie's like, I gotta go to, and she's like, I gotta go to a place so I can hear the stories from other angry foster kids. He's like, can't you blow it off? And then she's like, it's required. So then we go to that place, and we see Mary Mauser in this episode, who we all know plays Sam Russo on Cobra Kai, and she plays a character named Sarah, who's in a home with the Olmsted, which Callie's just playing on her phone, which during the scene, and then she kind of gets interested when she hears the Olmsted, because I think the Olmsted has a Liam guy. What do I know? But yeah, and she says that the Olmstead really went out of the way to make her feel welcome, and Callie goes to talk to her, and they basically have a day out. Yeah, have a day out. Have a day out where Callie talking about how Mariana used to hate her. She says roommate Brianna loves Mariana, and she says, oh, Mariana used to hate her, but I think they're cool now. And Sarah starts talking about how she started talking about how she and some guy in their dad were at a mini golf area, and the guy got so mad that he broke the club in half, and Callie's like, we need more of his dad, and Sarah's like, I never said his name was Liam, and she's like, I gotta go. So yeah, so let me see. So Brandon is practicing this piano thing, and then he's calling Mike because Mike's supposed to take him over there, but he's busy, and by the time Mike picks him up, Brandon's very mad, and so they go to the audition, but once they get to the audition, Brandon can't figure out the musical piece that was in the piece of the song, and he messes up. And he's like, he's like, how you doing? He's like, you stink like booze, bro. Wait, you think I would notice if you stink like booze, bro? Yeah. Yeah, and Mike just go. He's like, how you doing? He's like, I messed up. I figured out the piece like 100,000 times, and I messed up. So Mike goes up there and he's like, hey, can you get Brandon a second shot? And Brandon's just like trying to stop Mike from doing this. Mike's like, bro, I need to do this. And he's like, can you give it? And Brandon starts playing with the guys, with the music teachers, like, hey, I can't give you a scholarship, but I can take you on as a student. He's like, we just need $100,000. It'll take $100,000 a day, which $100,000 million is a lot. And Mike says, I'll take care of it. He's like, you don't need to. And he's like, yeah, I will. So Mariana's hanging out when Mariana's talking to, she's talking to Leah when she says, hey Leah, I'm going to see Garrett. But as I said, Garrett's a one-time character, so of course it's not Garrett. And we find out it's actually her birth mom, Anna, which I'm surprised Mariana's still going to see Anna after last time she saw her, and she just walked off with the money. And Mariana's like, I don't got any more money if that's what you need. And she's like, no, I don't need that. And she's like, yeah. So she gives Mariana a quinceañera present of a bear, and she's, yeah. So she's like, shouldn't you be hanging out with your friends on a Saturday? And she's like, I had a friend, her name was Lexi, and they're talking. She's like, what you doing? She's like, she was sleeping with Jesus behind her back, and Anne's like, oh, that must suck. So yeah. So Wyatt's having his foreclosing party, and Mariana doesn't want to be there when the Rivers get there, so she's like, we gotta go to this party, Callie. And Callie's like, it's just a stupid foreclosure party. She's like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here when Lexi's parents get here. So yeah, so we also meet Steph's dad in this episode. Steph's dad is basically like, how come you don't go, talking about the Catholic church that he just wants to go to, and she's like, you weren't Catholic, are you? And she's like, no, we don't go to church. And she's like, why? And he's like, why? And she's like, you know why? And she's like, why? And he's like, why? And she's like, you remember her friend Tess Brown from high school? And he's like, he basically caught her cuddling on the couch with Tess, and basically sent her into a church where some guy basically told her that being gay was a sin, and she's like, he was being a parent pushing her to the right direction, and that's kind of the right direction. And he's like, he's basically like, you had a family, but you still chose with Mike for Lena. Yeah, and stuff's like, I'm done. So then we get to see Callie's like, you better just drink and then you sip it all night. And she's like, I've been here before. And then we see Kelsey, and Kelsey's like, hey, and Mariana's like, hey, and goes off to hang out with Kelsey. So I can move my chair. So while Mariana's hanging out with Kelsey is like, you were at rehab, and she's like, I thought you were sober. And she's like, I went to rehab for drugs, not beer. And she basically said that her parents were overreacting, but no, her parents were probably not overreacting. They probably did it for her best nature. But she thinks that because Kelsey's a drug addict. Yeah. Well, anyway, and she's like, and she's like, and she starts thinking about, you think, starts, how, 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 she said, she says, like, do you think that your moms are telling the reverse? She said, about Lexi telling Mariana's like, she's, she said, she said, yeah. And Mariana's like, what? She's like, she needs that morning after pill. She's like, call Kelsey after she and Jesus slept together. And she's like, I guess she couldn't help, so I guess she went to her mom. And Mariana's like, and she's like, oh, you didn't know? And Mariana just starts drinking, not listening to what Callie said at all. She's mad. She's drinking her anger. Yeah, so Callie runs into Wyatt and 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 Wyatt just starts wrecking his house because he's like, his mom paid much for this, and Callie's like, oh, it's sad that your parents are foreclosing on your house, but she never had a house that she grew up in. So yeah, so then she runs into Talia, and Talia's like, hey, I told you, there's nothing going on between me and Brandon. And she's like, oh yeah, I totally freaking you, lady. Callie's a shiny new girl. And she's like, I should have realized you were never into Brandon. He's into you. So yeah. So yeah. So yeah. And then at the party, Frank shows up, and he basically says that he thinks that marriage. Do you think Ernie Riviera is like, do you think your daughter has a right to marry Lena? And he's like, I believe marriage is between a man and a woman, which is not actually true. A lot of women and pets and cats, just forget the cats and pets thing, that's a joke. A lot of people guys and women get married. So what Frank thinks is totally wrong. So yeah. So then Callie sees Mariana at the party, and she sees her, but then she loses her when Mariana goes into the bathroom. So she starts taking snapshots, and then she takes snapshot of one guy who she names as Liam, the guy that she's been talking about, and he's like, oh, yeah, and she's like, 2 years make difference. She's like, and she's like, when I asked her about your family, she was just curious, and she's like, go me. He's like, I'm gonna give you 2 warnings. 1, stop asking questions and stay away from Sarah. So yeah, and then Wyatt comes in and takes Mariana and Callie home, and it's like, take Mariana and Callie home. So it's like, take Mariana and Callie home. So yeah, so Callie and Mariana about to go upstairs when the Rivera come, and they're like, hey, so Stephanie and Lexi realize that actually Steph's dad does apologize for what he did about the whole church thing, I think. But back to Stephanie do realize that Mariana is drunk, and they're like, we should end this. But they're like, hey, Jesus is going to the church retreat. Do you want to come to me? And Mariana's like, wait, what? Drunken Mariana's like, wait, what? You're gonna let them spend the night together when you know they're sleeping together, and that should implode the relationship between Mariana, Jesus, and Mariana right now, and Stephanie are like, we transitioned to Mariana's bedroom where Stephanie are like, you're drunk and you lied to us, and Mariana, Stephanie like, if your mission was to keep Jesus and Lexi apart, Mariana, you succeeded. And she's like, we'll talk about this in the morning. And Mariana takes up the teddy bear that gave to her. So then we see talk to Callie, and Callie's like, if whose party was this Mariana's idea, if this ever happens again, call us, and yeah, so yeah, and and yeah, so basically that, bro. Yeah, and Mariana's like, good night, and Callie talked Wyatt about taking her home, and Talia was like, she's great, so Callie Talia to go, she was like, she's fine, she's great, so, but Callie texts Wyatt saying thanks for taking her home, and then she gets about the tree, and she looks at a picture of Liam Olmstead, and that's how this episode ends. Okay, so I thought this episode was really good. I kind of feel bad for Jesus here because now his relationship with Rivera's is boom gone. His and Lexi's relationship with Lexi and her parents trusting the Rivera trusting Lexi and Jesus relationship, boom gone. And yeah, so yeah, Jude was not in this episode. Next episode had Jude. This one didn't. This episode had a lack of Jude, which I've cut back because I do like Jude. He's so cool. Jude tries to be cool. So anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you next Fosters.